Aloha guys, hope everyone is doing well. As you can see, I have my little fall makeshift studio out in nature. My place is not that conducive for making videos. I got a cat that's always up my ass. I also have a parrot that's really loud, and for whatever reason, they tend to like to be really distracting while I'm trying to do something. So go figure, right? But again, my space is kind of small, so I usually try to take it out in nature any chance I get. So this video essentially is going to be about what drone to fly when and why. So as you see, I'm out about to fly actually, but I actually planned also to do a video just talking about what drone I would choose, at least out of these guys. So right now I have a Mavic 2 Pro. Whether this be a Mavic 2 Pro or Mavic 2 Zoom, it really doesn't matter. They're pretty comparable. One obviously has a 1-inch sensor like this guy, and the other one has the zoom ability. We have a Mavic Mini, not the Mavic Mini 2. Couldn't find one at Best Buy, and apparently from what Greg at Pilot Institute said, Best Buy is aware, and if they do sell, they immediately get fired if they were to do that. So a big no-no to whoever the employee was who sold that one Mavic Mini 2, but I will have a Mavic Mini 2. Apparently they're going to release it on November 4th, so I'll order it that day, and I'll have it to compare and see. And I actually am selling this Mavic Mini, so you guys are aware. Probably to you, $450. No, but for real, I got 5 batteries. It's the Fly More combo with 2 extra batteries. You got refresh on it, and I also have this case. So whatever, $450 would be good. Get someone started and stoke them out. And then I have my Mavic Air 2 and the regular controller and the smart controller. So now it's a beautiful fall day. As you can see here, what drone do I fly? Now, the Mavic Mini is an option if I just want to kind of cruise around, you know, maybe in between trees or do something a little bit more creatively. And that's why I'm excited about the Mavic Mini 2, because it could at least shoot 4K at 30 frames per second, supposedly. And it will be nice to be able to match my 4K content when I shoot with these other guys. So right now I'm stuck at 2.7K or 1080 with this. So a lot of times if I do shoot something and I really want to use it in a 4K edit, I essentially up-res it to 4K with some software, but whatever. It will be ideal when the Mavic Mini 2 essentially comes out. And this guy shines, from what I experienced so far, in low light. So if I'm really doing something where I want a little bit more drone, so to speak, where, you know, maybe it's a job, or maybe it's just something that I really want to make sure I can get like a really good file, but at the same time the Mavic Air 2 gets a really good file too, and the footage is actually very good. But if I was shooting a job, I would be using this guy because it has 10-bit, you know, color, and it can shoot D-Log, and it does have a bigger sensor, of course. So this would be the go-to drone. And I have the smart controller, so it does look a little bit more legit. Or a Phantom 4 Pro, for example, would be another option, and that would be a drone that I would fly on a job as well, because it has a little bit more presence. It's kind of like taking an iPhone or a little point and shoot, even if it's an amazing camera, to, you know, shoot a job or a wedding. You want to have something that looks, you know, significant. So there is a psychological thing behind what drone you fly sometimes too, when you're actually getting paid to fly. So like, for example, I have a job next week, and it's really not a big deal because I'm getting the footage for the client. So I could shoot any one of these drones, and I actually shot all of them for this particular job. And I mean, it's a good paying job, I mean, in the thousands. So really you can utilize all of these drones creatively, and it will be nice to match the 4K content when the Mavic Mini 2 finally drops. If I want to do something like a little bit more maneuverable flying through a little small space, this is way more forgiving than something like this. And obviously it's a more expensive drone, so you don't want to be clipping this thing into something. This with the little flexible propellers really helps. So today, for example, I'm just going to get some fall foliage pictures and video, and I could fly any one of them, but if I was to choose one, this would be the winner, the Mavic Air 2, because I get the 4K content I want, so I have the quality that I need to put together a nice edit. I like the way this flies, honestly, the best out of all of these drones, even the Mavic 2 Pro. I think this thing lurches a lot more and is a lot more responsive, which could be a good thing, but when I do more cinematic type flying or stuff just for my own personal edits, I think this thing flies a lot nicer. Actually, I had the Mavic Air 1. I enjoyed flying that thing. I mean, it wasn't really the most amazing footage, but the drone itself flew really nice, and I believe it was because it was smaller and it didn't have that speed that something like this guy does and that responsiveness. I personally wish they almost had gears in these drones, like you could go like first, second, third, fourth, because this thing just flies really fast. It doesn't fly really fast in tripod mode, of course, but it's really responsive, and I think it's too responsive, you know, just out of the box. So there's that. This guy is a cool little drone, but it's more, not a toy, but it's a different little tool, and the range is obviously not so great with the Mavic Mini 2. We hope that it will have the OcuSync 2.0 like they're saying it will, so the range should be much more improved, and it will have the same controller as the Mavic Air 2 does. So there's that. I still have my smart controller. I'm not in love with it, but I do fly it only with this drone. So even though I have it synced to fly with my Mavic Air 2, I opt to not use it. That's me. I personally enjoy this controller with this drone more than flying my smart controller with the Mavic Air 2. It just feels like the balance is perfect with this guy, the balance is perfect with this guy, and the balance is, you know, pretty good with this guy as well, the Mavic Mini. And I guess it won't be that bad. We'll have no choice for the Mavic Mini 2 to fly with the new controller that they're going to be providing. So I just wanted to give a little input on what I would kind of break down as why I would fly each drone. So this essentially, for sure, is more for jobs. So if you have a commercial type job where you're flying with your 107, this guy will come out looking a lot stronger, being a lot more professional, having a bigger sensor, having the ability to shoot 10-bit D-Log, like I said, so you'll have that option if they want it as a client. And also the low light ability. The low light ability in this drone really does do a lot better than the Mavic Air 2, for example. And again, the Mavic Mini really isn't even a contender. I mean, you shoot JPEG with this, so if you're shooting the Mavic Mini and you're trying to get better footage, I would suggest bracketing a lot. So if you're shooting stills, for example, in JPEGs, bracket and take, you know, multiple exposures and then just work and rely on compositing like a sky and, you know, a foreground, for example. So get used to compositing and really just working the footage the best you can. So with the Mavic Mini, I would say this is better for more technical flying. If you're flying in small little spaces, you want to get kind of creative. Maybe you're flying indoors, for example. You can fly through little spaces in the trees or kind of maneuver around and follow it around. It's just a fun, easy drone to fly, and there's really not a lot of consequences because it's a lower cost drone and the propellers actually flex. So I hit a little metal pole the other day. Nothing bad, it didn't crash, but I mean, I just grazed it and they just kind of blipped and it didn't do anything. You know, maybe worst case scenario, you got to replace the propellers, but it actually is very forgiving because of the flexibility of these guys. When they're more rigid, it just kind of clips and falls a lot of times with the bigger drones. So again, I hope that helps. I just wanted to do something, get an upload out there. And again, please do subscribe. I'm really pretty stoked that I reached 1,000 subscribers. I still don't know why I can't go live yet. So apparently you can with 1,000 subscribers, but at the same time, that feature has not been unlocked yet for me. I can post, which is kind of cool, so I could at least post little photos or blips on what I'm up to. But again, please do subscribe. I appreciate the support. I'm going to kind of gear this channel, I believe, more into drones and also photography in general and videography and editing and probably a little bit of everything. But the drone thing is going to be probably a focus on this channel, so you guys are aware. So if that interests you, find it in your hearts to subscribe, and I do appreciate the support and love, and aloha. Thanks. Bye.